I'm so happy to see you this afternoon. And this afternoon, I have Alex Emmerson with me. So, Alex is a business coach for coaches, therapists, and healers. Great. And
Yes.
I am very excited to know more about you, Alex. I know a little bit already because we are in touch, but I'm excited
Yeah.
to discover a lot more about you today. So,
Brilliant.
could you start with telling us a bit more about yourself? What kind of clients do you work with? What do you do exactly? And what is the issue that people are having when they come to you?
Okay. Yes, of course. So, hi, I'm Alex. I'm a business coach and I specialize in helping female entrepreneurs to create a group coaching program and then fill it with clients. To put it very simply. So there's lots of coaches out there who maybe, they're very good at what they do. They could be coaches, they could be therapists, they could be healers. They're normally in the kind of transformational kind of area, and but sometimes they're very good at what they do and they get very booked up with one-to-one. And when you get fully booked up with one-to-one, you haven't really got anywhere to go in your business, because now what? You're fully booked up. And if there are other people that want to work with you, then what are you going to do? You're already fully booked up. You've now put a roof, a ceiling over the amount of people that you can help and the amount of income that you can bring in. So I help people to create group coaching programs, which means that they can now take on more clients and just coach them in a group session rather than on a one-to-one basis. I've got nothing against one-to-one, by the way. Sometimes people feel like, I always, sometimes people misunderstand and they think that I'm saying only group coaching. No, I've got nothing against one-to-one. I think one-to-one is very valuable and you can certainly offer one-to-one. But I come from the point of view that if all you're offering is one-to-one, then you're missing a trick. So that's essentially what I
Yes,
what I do.
yes, and as you said, your income is capped because the only way to get more income, you can't add more hours, so you can't add more clients. The only way to get more income is to increase your prices. But I
Right.
agree that there should be other solutions, and that group programs is a great solution. And I think we should all have a combination of individual and group programs as well. I mean, as coaches, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of people think that group coaching.
okay.
Sorry, there's a little bit of delay. I was just going to add something, if that's okay. Sometimes people worry when they come to me and they think, oh, I couldn't possibly do what I do on a group basis, right? Because, I have to, my clients need me. I have to take them through a certain process, and they're so used to one-to-one that they can't see how that could work on a group basis. But I can tell you by experience, by both giving group coaching programs and being part of group coaching programs, that actually it can work absolutely beautifully. Yes, there will be a few exceptions when someone really, really needs one-to-one, right? But most of the time, for most things, even for healing, etc., you can certainly create a framework that's going to take your clients from A to B. And I'm telling you, because everyone is on the same boat on those calls, they get a lot of side coaching, they get a lot of learning. And in my experience, it always works really well.
Yes, funnily enough, I was discussing this morning with another coach just about that, the individual versus the group coaching
Yeah,
and whether it was working for all situations.
yeah,
And we were also discussing the fact that sometimes in the group setting, although you have a safe container and so it feels safe for everybody to share,
yeah.
there are some times where complementing that with one individual session will allow the individual to go so much
Deeper. Yeah, yeah,
faster or so much deeper,
yeah.
and to remove that block that's right in the middle and that they can't see, but that will allow them a big progression.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just for business, but also for personal development programs. It's also seems to be the
Absolutely.
case.
Absolutely. And you know what? You mentioned, going a little bit deeper with the individual. If you run your sessions properly, if you make sure that you make everyone feel safe, if you make sure that everyone knows that everything that happens in that container is confidential and everyone feels happy to share, etc., and then you let people ask questions rather than just, this isn't a lecture. This isn't about me coming on and going, right, today I'm going to tell you about. It's not like that. It's very much a interactive situation. And so if one of my students or members or clients, whatever you want to call them, has got a specific question, they can, they can talk straight to me and they'll get an answer straight away. And that makes them feel, they might not need a full 1 hour one-to-one, but they might get an answer that they were stuck on just sorted in the space of 10 minutes. And, because of the way of just human nature, not everyone of your students, of your clients, will attend every single call. And so very often people get a lot more time with me than they think they're going to get. And so it always just works out and balances out beautifully in my experience.
Yes, but and also the power of the group is that often when one asks a question, it is also relevant for other people.
Exactly.
So even if you're there and you're listening to your Q&A and it's not your question, but there's always something that you
Yeah.
can get from the
Yeah. It
other's
will always
questions.
apply to you.
So completely agree with you,
Yeah,
Anna.
it will always apply to you, whether it applies to something that you've done last week and you want to tweak it, whether it applies to something that you're planning to do in a couple of weeks, but it's still, if you are in the right group, and you've got the same goal as everyone else, you're always going to get some learning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So the people, the coaches, the healers, and the therapists that come to you, how are they feeling, or when do they come to you for help?
Well, sometimes they have already created a course, but like an online group coaching program, but they can't seem to sell it. And so I help them with that as well, because I'm a course creation coach, but also marketing coach. So I can help them with getting clients. Other times they want to create their group coaching program. They haven't even got to the stage of selling it and they feel stuck. They feel a little bit overwhelmed in sort of, how do I put this together? How much do I do? What platform should I use? What should I put in every lesson? How should I organize it? All that kind of stuff, which can feel quite overwhelming. What do I do with my, do I need a pretty background, and do I need to have a particular microphone or a particular video or whatever? And I'm pretty good at taking away that overwhelm and saying to them, okay, you can do it this way, you can use this, you can do this. I mean, you're a bit of an exception, Madeleine. You're very good technically, and you're not worried about all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of women I work with that actually get a little bit overwhelmed by, oh, the technology scares me, I don't know how to do XYZ. And so I present to them a really simple way on how to create the package. What should I include is always a really important one as well. Do I include the curriculum? Do I include
Yeah,
the lessons? All of that. So it's the whole package, and then how to fill it with ideal clients.
exactly. How to market it and get it filled. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So tell us a bit more about you. So how did you come to being the business coach that you are today? What brought you to this? Yeah, what's your story?
My
How did you
story,
come to this?
how far back should I go? Well, I'll keep it short for you. So I'm from Italy. I was born and raised in Sicily. And when I turned 18, I moved to England and I did a degree in languages. And at that point, and then I did a master's degree in education. So a postgraduate certificate of education. I was a teacher for a couple of years. So I've always had this love for teaching, essentially, because what I do is, to a certain extent, is teaching. And then I took a bit of a turn, and I became a musician. Which was
It's a
nothing
big
to do
term.
with,
It's a big
it's a
term.
bit
Yeah.
of a different thing, right? To be fair, there's a lot of musicians in my family. My dad was always in bands, etc. But I remember, in the middle of teaching, I met my husband, who's a professional musician, and I auditioned for one of his bands, and it just happened, when one of those things happens. but I was always missing. There was always a part of me that was missing that element of teaching, right? And I guess teaching to a certain extent is almost like a performance, right? And so I did a coaching, right? I did a
It can be, yes.
right? I did a coaching certification with Tony Robbins, and I became a relationship coach. I specialized in polarity, masculine and feminine energies, and in divorce prevention. And so I started doing that, and I did it quite successfully. I became UK Relationship Coach of the Year in 2011. I had, a thriving, I had plenty of clients, etc. But I don't want to say depressed. I wasn't depressed. That's a wrong word. But I wasn't finding it didn't feel right. I wasn't enjoying it as much as I remembered
Yeah.
coaching was. And I think I realized that it was too
You
emotional.
didn't feel aligned.
Right. It wasn't aligned. It was too emotional for me. I'm quite a logical person. I'm quite about strategy, very much about, look, 2 add 2 is 4. If you want this result, you do this, etc., etc. But when it came to the relationships, it was very heavy. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of stuff to work through. And even though, I had the tools, I'd been trained on how to do it, it just didn't feel like what I wanted to do. And I also found it quite difficult to distance myself from all that pain. You know, I would hear
Yeah.
some really sad stories, and sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and say to my husband, "This is so sad, I can't cope." So, anyway, I decided to then go much more into marketing. And it wasn't a decision out of the blue. People kept coming to me, other musicians kept coming to me and say, "How come your band has so many gigs? How come you're doing all of the weddings and all of the corporate events?" And I realized, actually, I'm really good at marketing. I just get it.
Yes, you found your zone of genius.
I found my zone of genius for sure. And so I then started to work with musicians and help them market their bands, etc., etc. And that's where I started. I really felt, yes, I found my zone of genius. I'm happy. I'm enjoying it really so much. And then I came across a coach that started talking about creating group coaching programs. I mean, I don't want to go into a lot of details because, we only have however much time, but I decided to create a program myself and then teach other people how to do it. And now for a couple of years, I've been doing just that. And I found my real balance. I really enjoy what I do. I get to work with some amazing female entrepreneurs. I love the variety of it. I mean, in my course, I've got people that teach sales. I've got people that teach, they help people with grief. I've got people that help people with, mental health for teens, different stuff like that. So it's really fun. It's really interesting. It's really diverse, and it's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So you've got those two branches. You still help the musicians getting gigs and all that kind of stuff. And you've got the other branch, which is
Female
marketing
entrepreneurs.
and course creation for female entrepreneurs
Yeah, I
who
don't do
happen
the
to be.
musicians anymore. I
Oh,
focused
no?
for, no,
Okay.
for a couple of years. I've just focused on one thing at a time. I'm a true believer in focusing as much as possible, rather than trying to scatter your energy in lots of different directions. And so I decided to just do this. Yeah.
Isn't it beautiful how life puts us on the path and gets us to reevaluate? And you took the path, you took up coaching, and you took the path of relationships
Yeah.
until you decided coaching fine, but relationship not my
No.
jam.
Right.
And then you move on to musicians, and then finally from musician to it's question of finding the right people at the right time is a
Yeah.
part of it, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah, it is. And
and
I think it's also
it's
about
like when we have
listening.
this.
Sorry, I think it's also about
Sorry, it's
listening.
about.
I think it's also about listening to yourself, your intuition, etc. Because I could have just stayed with the relationship coaching. I could have just said, "Well, suck it up. This is what you do. You have to help people, and you've done it now. You've retrained. Stick with it." But actually, I think it's important for everyone to just go, if I'm not enjoying this, there is a reason. There is a reason that maybe I'm meant to be doing something else. And so don't be afraid to explore that reason until you find your balance.
I so agree. I
Yeah.
mean, I changed direction so many times in my career, and coming from the daughter of a school teacher and telling to everybody who wanted to hear that I would never ever be a teacher, finally ending up as a teacher
Pretty
after
much.
a few years, a good few years in corporate, and then now a coach and a trainer as well. So finally, it looks like teaching is in my blood as well as it is
This
in
is the
yours.
thing, it's whatever is in your
And
blood is in
yeah,
your blood, right? It's who you are, and if it's who you are, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
exactly. So I can only agree to that. Okay, so let's talk about your clients.
Yeah.
So you talked a bit about it already, but what's the transformation they go through? So they come to you, they discovered about you, about what you were doing, and so you said there are different cases. Maybe they haven't even considered creating a group program, or maybe they are considering it, but the tech things are really scaring them off. So how do you accompany them, and how do they end up after your programs?
So
Um,
basically, the way that I help my clients, there are two main parts. One part is the course creation, right? So I help them to actually plan out the course, create it. I help them with recording it. I help them with uploading it. I help them to really birth this program that didn't exist before, and we get that out of the way. Once that's done, we really focus on getting the clients. So I help them to get the clients and create an income. At the end of the day, it's very much a course about business, about creating an income, and so I help them to do that online. I help them to get some attraction in terms of engagement, in terms of connecting, excuse me, connecting with the right people, and then getting these people interested in what they do and filling their course with clients. So they come to me when, they are coaches, they are therapists, they are healers, they might have already worked with clients, they might be quite new, but they just want to do more of it. And they want to do it in a way which is scaled, in a way that's not going to take up every single hour of every single day. And then once they've worked with me, they have a course and they have a system that's going to help them to get the clients in.
yeah. Okay. So they are with you for say 3 months,
Yeah.
and then after those 3 months, they have created their course, or
Yes.
they know how to create it, even if it's not finished. It doesn't have to be finished when we sell it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got their course ready, or at least the method to get there, and you've taught them how to market their course and how
Yeah.
to fill in their programs.
Yeah. Absolutely. And by the time they've
And
done
then,
3 months with me,
okay, go.
yeah, sorry. By the time they've done 3 months with me, I hopefully, in a perfect world, I want them to be able to have, created the course. I want them to be able to have added some new clients, etc., and actually got some results. Some people work faster than others, that doesn't really matter. But the point is, they now have the tools, they know how to do it, they have the strategy, they have everything they need to create the course and fill it with clients.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. So, for the people who are watching either live or replay, um, what advice could you give them to get started on this road to having a program with a course and a group program?
Okay. So
So,
I would
what
say
could you
this.
tell them to get them
I would say
started?
this. The first thing that I would say is be open to the possibility of group coaching program, because I hear it from so many people. It's not going to work in my niche. It's not going to work for me. No, my clients need me. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And actually, I will tell you that I've had people like healers, like you remember, the people, in our course that were healers, etc. And it worked beautifully for them. There is always something that you can create on a group coaching program. I mean, think of things like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? These are
Yeah,
group settings, right? And yet they get enormous results for people that are life changing, right? So as long as you are as long as you are hosting that meeting properly, as long as you're making sure that you're attentive, and as long as you've got the video lessons, which is what we call the curriculum, the actual course that is backing all of that up, then people are absolutely gonna make results. In fact, I believe certainly that the group coaching programs should be the first step, right? Before people even think about working one-to-one with you, the group coaching program could be the first step. Then if they want to upgrade and want to work with you and want to have more of your time and energy, you can certainly upsell them to a one-to-one, but the group is really everything that most people need to start with. So I would say, first of all, be open to the fact that it can really, really work, right? And the second thing that I would say is, yes, it will feel a little bit overwhelming at the beginning, because you're thinking, okay, I've got all this knowledge, all this expertise, all this experience, and that I can share with people. And a lot of women come to me and go, like, where do I start? What do I put in my program? What order should I put it in, right? How do I literally sort of create it in a way that makes sense?
Organize it. Yeah.
Organize it. Thank you. That's exactly the word that I was looking for. How can I organize it in a way that makes sense, in a way that's going to give my clients the best results, etc.? And to that, I would say there is a way that's very simple, right? And I take all my clients through this process. But essentially, if someone is watching and wants to know this way, it's very simple. You have to think about A to B, right? So as a coach, as a teacher, as a trainer, as a healer, whatever you are, your job is to take someone from A to B, right? Say, for example, that you are
Yeah.
a new health coach, for example, or a dream body coach or something like that, right? You're going to take people from having a body that they don't feel happy with to having a body that they love, right? So you're always taking people from what I would say room A to room B. And what I help my clients to
Yeah.
do is go, okay, if this is A and this is B, tell me what framework, what steps, what milestones are in between A and B, right? Well, okay, the body dream body coach might say, okay, well, we talk about nutrition, we talk about exercise, we talk about self-care, we talk about habits. Okay, this is all great. What kind of order makes more sense, right? And then you end up really creating a rough skeleton of your modules. And I always say to people, don't get too worried and don't get too bogged down to start with the detail, right? Just look at the big picture to start with. Look at the modules first. And once you've got your main 4 or 5 modules, then we can start to think about the sub lessons that go under each module, right? And then I help them to create
Yeah.
videos for those. Some people are very happy to be in front of the camera, so they'll just be talking to the camera. Other people might prefer having, slides or PowerPoint or whatever, because they prefer to have a prompt to remind themselves what they're talking about. There is no right or wrong when it comes to that. People don't care whether or not you're wearing your favorite necklace or whether or not you've got a background or whatever. If the content you're sharing with them works and is fire, they're going to listen carefully. If that's what they need,
Yeah.
if what they need is in that lesson, they're going to listen carefully. Yes, of course, we want things to look right. We want things to come across professional, etc. But also there's a balance between that and not going to the point where there is such perfectionism that we never get started because it feels like this massive mountain to climb.
Exactly. So progress, not perfection, right?
Exactly. And even a little bit
And
of
we
progress
can
every day.
always have a version one. Yeah, we can always start with a version one and improve it with a version two and a version three, and
Yeah. And I always say,
exactly. But
this is
yeah, I agree that sometimes.
sorry, I always say, it's funny, there's a
Yes,
few seconds.
sorry.
You finish what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true that sometimes, well, a lot of us are perfectionists, and it's true that it can really prevent us from acting, from doing things, because it's never good enough. So, I
Um,
mean, I was a perfectionist in the past, and luckily, I learned that to stop at good enough
yeah.
and not to have to go until perfection. yes, I want to give quality and I am delivering quality, but maybe it's not perfect and maybe I update it next time, but it's there, it
Exactly.
exists,
And also, what is
and
perfect?
it's helping.
What is perfect, right? I mean, you could take perfect so many levels. Oh, that isn't the perfect font. Oh, that isn't the perfect shade of purple. Or, and you could just, what even is perfect, and what's perfect to me may not look or sound perfect to you. I have a husband who's a sound engineer. I told you he was a musician, but his real love and experience goes into sound engineering. Well, he said to me, when I did my first course, he said to me, "You're going to have to re-record everything because you didn't use a pop shield in your microphone." I was like, Get lost." Right? Yeah, okay. So every now and then you might hear a little pop when I say P or whatever. I think people will cope.
I haven't heard any
There
from
you
your
go.
course,
So,
Alex.
so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. And even if there was, I wouldn't worry about it. Indeed,
Yes,
yes,
but
definitely.
but
So
I know.
yes, it can always be.
Yeah, exactly. But I know people who have actually hired out recording studios for like a week. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? They've hired out a proper recording studio and, a videographer with the top camera and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm not, but if that's what you want and you've got that budget and that's what the result that you want, that's fine. I'm just saying, don't tell yourself that that's what's needed to sell a course, right? If you want it to look and feel like that,
Yeah,
that's fine. But you don't need that amount of detail to teach someone, what they should eat, what they should exercise, etc., etc. And also remember this, which you touched on this point a minute ago. This is a 1975, right? We're not publishing 20,000 copies of a book, and now we're stuck with that book forever. We can record lessons in our course anytime we like. This is the beauty of an online program. If I suddenly wake up in the middle of the night a year after doing my course and I think, I never mentioned this thing. Well, I can add an extra bonus lesson or I can add whatever. And as I grow as a coach, my clients also get the benefit of that because they get access to all of those updates for a lifetime, right? So that works.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, great. Yes, well, thank you for those tips, Alex.
You're very
Looks like, yeah, we are reaching the end of the half an hour time frame.
what?
Is there anything you would like to add
If it's okay
before?
for me, if it's okay for me to mention it, I actually have a free challenge happening this week. So if anyone is interested in doing that, they're very, very welcome to pop over. I can put a link below if you would like, and if people want to check
Yes,
it out, they're
I
very
was
welcome.
planning to put your links. I was going to put your links under the video, so you can do it as well. So that's perfect. Has it started, or is it starting today?
It starts
Your
in
challenge.
5 hours. It starts in 5 hours. Yes, so at 7 p.m. UK time.
Okay, great. Then yeah, we'll definitely put the links so that people can find you and can find the challenge should they wish to. And yeah, well, Alex, thank you very much. You're always so nice to talk to when this enthusiasm and passion really transpires. So
Thank you so much.
it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Lots of love,
And
everyone.
yeah, so we stay in touch. Okay, thank
Bye then.
you. See you
Bye.
soon. Bye, everybody.